right. Let's do it.
Okay. I would like to call the January 16th, 2024 meeting of the Library Board to order. It is 5:03 p.m. And if you'd all please stand who are in the room to do the Pledge of Allegiance, I would appreciate it. Thank you. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Brittany, if you please call the roll.
All right. Sorry, I'm just letting some new people in. Okay, so Gail.
I'm here.
Carrie. Here. Phyllis.
Here.
Tracy.
Here.
Michelle.
Here.
Barb.
Here.
Okay. And let me just see here. There's someone else.
Tony.
I can't tell if that is a guest or a board member. Hello, new listener. Are you a board member or just attending to listen? It's a phone number that dialed in. I don't want to read the phone number, but...
Brittany,
yes.
I may have punched the wrong button. It asked if I wanted to be a participant or a something else, and I may have just hit the wrong one.
Okay. Did you also call in with a phone number, or are you only on your computer?
I'm only on my computer.
Okay. So this last individual may be a member of the public. If you are a board member, just let me know so I can note that for the roll call. Otherwise, I will assume you're a member of the public. So, okay.
All right, we're okay. If you report on the statement of public notice, please.
This meeting was noticed in accordance with the open meeting law.
Thank you. Not knowing if we have a member of the public here or not, I would ask if there is any public comment. Okay. Hearing none, I believe it's okay to move on to the consent agenda. So I would be looking for a motion to approve the minutes of December 19th, 2023, as well as the December 2023 financials.
I move
motion.
Okay. Second.
I'll second.
So we have Michelle first.
Yeah, we actually have a first for Michelle and a second for Phyllis. Thank you for being back up, Tracy.
Okay, any discussion?
I saw the OWI. Are we getting the OWI computer?
Yep.
Is that already in, or
it's here in boxes? So that one is going to be, our old one was getting slower, but it's still technically working. So we're actually going to set up the new one next to the old one. And this new one also has, they call it After School Edge. It's not only does it have stuff for young kids, but it also has stuff for our slightly older elementary age group. So that'll be an exciting thing to offer in that area. So, yep, not up yet. I'm talking with IT right now about how to get it set up. So
great. Oh, and then on page 7 at the bottom, it has signation.
Oh, signage?
Yep.
Oh, yep. Okay, yep. So that is signage. We don't have any of the new signage in yet. We're still working on some of the designs with them.
And then it says grant. So is the grant paying for all of that?
Yep.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yep.
Okay, so do we pay up front and then bill the grant organization, or how does that work?
Nope. We have the money.
The money
Yep.
now. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else? Okay, I have a couple, hopefully brief ones. On page 5, the first one there is the painting of the meeting rooms. And not that I have to know everything, but I don't remember really discussing this. So what, we just repainted all of the all of the rooms, so
Yep.
we're ready, set, go on that part.
Yep, I
Okay,
was
so
just
they're all
looking
done.
at some end of the year budget choices,
Mhm.
and the rooms hadn't been painted in at least, I don't know how long.
Mhm.
They were getting marked up, members of the public, they just,
Sure.
so I just thought it would be a good end of the year thing to brighten up, so.
Okay, and then on page 6, bear with me a moment. Oh, the pod. So when is it coming? And now with the pipe burst, how does that
Yeah,
affect things?
it won't affect anything, so the first pod, the smaller one, which is that one, is coming January 30th. And then the rest of them, the 3 larger ones, because it is over a certain amount, I just have to, the purchasing policy for the city requires that over a certain amount, it just has to be acknowledged by council.
Mhm.
So it's within budget, the money's already set aside, I foresee 0 problems with that, but it'll go on the council's meeting January 23rd, next week.
Mhm.
And then once they give the go-ahead, then the check will be cut and then it'll be ordered. And so that will probably take it's in stock in Michigan, so maybe 4 weeks or so.
Okay.
So February.
So does that mean 3 total and they're all like the same, or? Just
One
make sure
smaller one and then
I
3
thought we had
larger
different-
ones.
Different,
Yep.
one smaller.
Yep.
and- So is this the smaller one?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Where is the smaller one going to be put?
My goal right now is to line them all up along that lower
Okay,
wall on the other side. Yeah.
okay.
Yep. That way, when people say, where are the study rooms, I can say this way or this way. And people don't have to search throughout the building.
Right.
Plus, there's electricity along that wall. So
It's gonna change the whole look.
I'm excited. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Okay, and then I just wanted to note the FEH design for 47250.
Yep.
Is that just the plan for the bathroom, or what?
It's just they get paid in installments
Okay.
at certain progress points. We have our first contractor meeting with the contractor team and with FEH next week. So looking forward to that.
So that's an
Yep.
installment, if you will.
Yep.
Okay. And then on page 9, since this is the last statement of the year, I just wanted to kind of go over a couple of things here. It looks like we did pretty good, really, except for the fines, which we know, happens here. So any statements about revenue or anything like that, just to close out the year?
No, nothing. We were 98.31% to anticipated revenue, so I would say that things were right on track there. So yeah, no comments about that.
Page 10, which would be the, here's what I wrote, the question. What happens to the under budget dollars? I ask this every year because if we're frugal, for want of a better term, and we save this money, I believe it goes right back to the city. Is that correct?
So when budget dollars are, the board in the past, historically, it seemed like it was that way before my time and has continued, has always given the money back to the city. Now, Wisconsin statute does say that that once money is expensed to the board, it's to the board's discretion for spending. However, I think as city departments, we're all part of a team here, and if we didn't need that, the city, we ask for money and they give it to us, and they're very generous about that. And if we get to the end of the year and we decide to say, no, we want to keep it, I think there's a real scenario where the following year we don't get the same amount of money, right?
Sure.
So I think it's in the best interest of the city and the library specifically if, we do the best we can. I did make some purchases at the end of the year that we could hold off on that benefited the library, but I think it benefits everyone
When it comes to budgets and you go into capital expenditure, you don't know what might happen with that as well. So, okay, and you don't know what's going to happen until it does. So
that's the truth.
Okay, and then I only had, we seem to do like well on salaries and wages, and I think that's because we were in kind of a hiring mode. So that was
Well, yeah,
that
we-
was the one. But the health
had
insurance then went way up.
Right.
And is that because we hired people? Is it the same reason?
Right, yeah, so we had vacancies this year,
Mhm.
right, and that ended up having some savings in salaries and wages. But then, yeah, the health insurance, that was actually an anticipated overage. At the beginning of the
Oh.
year, just the way it was, the city told me in advance, it's gonna be over in this category based on the way we,
Negotiated the the
for lack of a better
contracts,
term,
whatever.
or
Yes.
just based on what they anticipated. But they knew that, they said, do the best you can, but also, so we were fine. But I was aware of that account from day one, and I kept an eye on it, so.
Okay. And just a quick, on the balance sheet on page 12, those numbers remain pretty stable. So, would you take money out of there, for an example, to buy the pods? Could you maybe give the board an example of what, or kind of how this part works?
Actually, the fun thing about this discussion is I think it's in the strategic plan that I want to have a conversation with you all about the future of these.
Okay.
They've
So
sort of
then
they've been sitting. I have some ideas, but I also want to talk with you guys about that because we have the roof coming up, and that's going to be expensive.
Right.
So anyway, yeah. So that's a future discussion. It's in our strategic plan that I want to have that, and I would like to have it this year.
Mhm.
So.
And I guess then the question based on the previous one is, how did we get this money in this fund if we're giving money back to the city every year? It's always been there?
It's always been there since I've been here. I think it just
That's what I
had to
remember.
do with, there was processes in place with how we got the money from the county,
Mm-hmm.
and we changed processes to the point where it wasn't being like rolled over. It was being brought in and expensed out in the same operating budget as opposed to put in the separate account. And I think it's better because it shows a better indication of operationally how we need that money every year.
Mhm.
But as a result, there was just this leftover pot. Now, if you recall from 2018, we had about $100,000 in that account, and that was the library's portion for the children's renovation.
Mm-hmm.
So that account used to be a lot bigger. It had probably for decades been sort of like, I don't know. I don't know the history of that, but I know that it was spent down to help pay for the children's renovation. We have a little bit left over, and it is up to the board's discretion on, do we want to save it for emergencies, a rainy day, right? Like, do we want to use it to help offset the cost of the roof, because we know that's going to be a big expense for the city. So those are the conversations I want to have with you. I don't think it's a bad thing to have a little bit of an emergency
Right.
fund.
That's-
I'll be honest, I don't know what it's going to cost for this pipe burst mitigation that we're having to do. It's not going to be cheap.
Mhm. Exactly.
So we can have that conversation, and I'll make sure we have
Are
it
these
this
like
year.
an interest-bearing things, or do they just kind of sit there and do nothing?
There's some interest, but it's
But
not.
they're in safe, minimal
Correct.
interest
Yeah,
investments.
yeah, they're not growing.
That's all I got.
Yeah, those are good questions.
Brittany, does the pipe get covered by insurance?
I've submitted that to insurance. Yep, I've taken a ton of photos. In the coming days, I'm sure there will be more paperwork that I have to fill out, but the city's already aware of it, and insurance has been notified. Yeah.
Okay, and do you work then directly with the insurance company, or does somebody at the city hall
City
do that?
Finance submits all the insurance
Okay.
stuff,
All
so
right, so
I
you're not on
communicate
your
with
own
them.
on this.
Exactly, I'm not
Yeah.
on my own with that, so.
All right, we're on to, I'm sorry, I need to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Skip the president's report and head to the director's report, which is on page 13. I hope everybody at home has a way to reference this, so.
Whew. You'll see from the reference update, we've been continuing to tag items maybe that were checked out at the time we did the initial part of the collection. The RFID gates and the self-checks come tomorrow.
Ooh.
So
In the
excited.
middle of the pipe bursting.
I know. I actually contacted the contractor as he was headed to the airport, and I said, "Can you still do this? Because I really don't want to reschedule. Because if we rescheduled, he would have had to come in May, which would have been
Yeah,
so far
but
removed."
you're not concerned about water and where these are going or anything?
Nope, we already had the electrician come and drain out the floor outlets and replace the floor boxes with new outlets, so everything is safe and ready to go.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, I'm grateful that they can still come tomorrow.
Good.
So that was we're excited. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow. We're still going to be open, of course, but I'm excited to get that moving after all the hard work staff has put in the past year or so. Gosh, let me see. What else? February 20th is our next board meeting. Our Friends fundraiser, we're starting to sell hearts for $1, the Friends are, for Love Your Library Month. And then our Love Your Library fundraiser event is February 10th. It's going to have model trains, a bake sale, book sale, heart sale, art sale, things like that. And I just wanted to call out that in 2023, the Friends raised $8,268.63, which is amazing. And that's their book sale. So that doesn't include the garden walk and the Love Your Library Month and the shred, all those other events. So much appreciation to the Friends and appreciation to the staff that help with the marketing and help run the events with them. That certainly helps. And we surpassed 2022 with that, so that's really exciting.
So on the Friends revenue page, is that like in there with the garden walk and all that?
So the revenue report is not the Friends revenue. That is what they have given to us, but it's not a total of what they've earned in a year.
What they've earned,
if that
okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, because I'm looking at that number didn't jive
Yeah.
with the, okay, great.
And then just for board education, I just wanted to call out some of my goals for this year are to have a better understanding of Wisconsin state statutes as they apply to public libraries and also the Waukesha County Library Services Plan. That's not to say that I don't understand them, but I would like to understand them more. And part of what brought about these goals is that I went to a director meeting and I looked around the room and I realized I was now one of the more senior directors in the system, which was interesting. And we've had a lot of knowledge leave, and I want to make sure that I am able to understand and be a good advocate within the system and within the library, within these spaces. So that was really what drove me to want to put those as my goals. And so for board education, I just wanted to outline, because sometimes I think we think about sort of like our library policies locally and not much else. So I just sort of wanted to outline the fact that we have Wisconsin state statutes for public libraries, and then we are part of a system, and there are system agreements.
Deb's here. I don't know if you have to do anything.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much for noting that. Hi, Alderperson Schrader. I'm just going to make a note.
Hello.
Hi.
Happy January to you.
So
Yes, Happy New Year.
chances are that other number is.
Maybe a member of the public.
Yeah. Because we
So
heard from everybody.
we have system agreements that help us with cooperative purchasing, but we have then responsibilities and processes. And then there's the county library services plan that just affects Waukesha County libraries. And then we have city policies and then also library policies. So there's lots of ways in which we operate within those different documents and spaces and requirements. So I just sort of wanted to outline that architecture and then also explain why I put those for my goals. It just, I realized I'm an adult.
I just have to tease you again. It's so often done. You also committed yourself to Wisconsin
Statutes. Oh, yeah.
So you get a lot more work than what you thought. Okay, moving on. Anybody who's in that field has done that. So, okay, and for Deb, just so you know, we just completed the director's report, and we're going into unfinished business. Seeing none. Going on to new business, which is a discussion of the library grant process. And that would be on, nowhere.
Packet page 16.
Yeah, I know I read it.
Yeah, this is just a discussion. It was a request at the December meeting about sort of how we go about our grant process. And so I wanted to show you an example of what the grant tracker looks like and the grant toolkit. So the toolkit on packet page 17 is this quick read document so that at any point when I'm delegating a grant to a staff member, or a staff member approaches me and says that they want to write a grant, sometimes there's data and information that they need to write that narrative. And I don't want to be the only one who has that information. I want to make it as easy as possible for staff members to write those grants. So the toolkit has like the employer identification number, census data, links to our strategic documents, tax exemption information, operational statistics, all things that might be helpful when they're trying to apply for a grant. And so that is for anyone who's writing a grant within the library on staff. And then the packet page 18 is what the grant tracker, and we started that in 2020 and we've been adding to it. Basically, it maybe sounds fancy when I say tracker, it's a spreadsheet, but anytime we come up with a grant that we feel, even if we don't have time to apply for it that year, but we think like, I could see us applying for this, we're either eligible or we do projects like this, we throw it on the grant tracker, link to it, make notes about it, make notes about how, this grant might support a problem that we have or something that we're trying to do. So that way, when we're thinking about projects, we might be able to scan this tracker and think like, oh, maybe we should apply for the Waukesha County Community Foundation for this, project we're doing. So that grant tracker has existed since 2020, but new in 2024, something that I want to do to help make it the best version of itself is I'm going to start meeting annually with the library staff in charge of programming areas, and then bring the grant tracker up and say like, okay, we know we have our action plan for the year. It's been approved by the board. We know what projects we're working on. Do any of these grants fit? And if so, who's writing what grant? So that instead of sort of like realizing midway through the year, oh my gosh, it's more present in our mind. It's like part of our annual process. So I think that will help us. And of course, some of these grants, depending upon the project, we may have to start thinking about a couple years in advance, like with the library roof, or with the parking lot. If there's an accessibility component to the parking lot, maybe we can get grant money for that, things like that. So we do have this grant toolkit and tracker, and moving forward, I'm going to start meeting with staff annually, so there's more of a formalized process as opposed to just sort of a light bulb moment that may occur to me or someone else. So, yeah.
Okay. The only question that I had, but maybe I'll put it out to the floor first. Anyone have any questions?
Brittany, can any of this stuff be used for, you were talking about refinishing the light poles and the fencing and stuff like that, maybe for safety or anything like that, or?
That's a good question. I don't know if that would qualify as safety. We do, this is going to maybe sound a little bad when I say we already have the money for the lampposts. And not that I don't want to save every dollar that I can for the city, but at this point, I don't know if maybe I want to direct my energy towards new projects that we have that are upcoming. Mm-hmm. I never thought about that from a safety perspective. And actually, now that you mention it, when I look at the list of grants that we have already, which again could certainly be expanded upon, I don't know if I have a lot of safety-based grants here. So that I'm going to make a note of that, because that's an area where there might be something where I think we could start looking for more grants. So thank you for mentioning that.
That walkway idea is definitely a safety-based.
And accessibility. So
Right.
I've been thinking about, the connecting point of the sidewalk to the back amphitheater as being a good place for a grant, yeah. Okay, safety grants, sidewalk, okay. Any other ideas, questions?
Yeah, that pro healthcare might be the one, because on the bottom it says promote disease and or injury prevention. So
That grant is pretty expansive, yeah. I feel like there's several projects that we might be able to target with that.
And speaking of Target, Target I know is a grant program too, but again, I don't know how, you could probably go crazy with this, and it's a related question that I have. I think I know the answer before I ask it, but does Bridges or even the ALA or something have like a grant database or something where they've done the research where they will contribute these grantors to libraries, just as a general thing, regardless of reason?
So we do have ALA listed on here because they do have some grant lists that we consult. The Wisconsin.
Sorry, on the top of this
Yeah.
one, I see it.
What was the second part though? You said ALA, but what was the
Or
other?
Bridges,
Bridges.
just like where there's a list of Wisconsin grantors
Yep.
that, not that there wouldn't be heavy competition for them, but
Right. Bridges will send out grants that they think might be
Okay.
of interest to us.
that no
so-
database or anything like that.
The Southeast Wisconsin Library, it's called SUI, they sometimes list grants as well.
That would be a perfect world though if you had a database, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would make great sense. Because, there are a few foundations here and even Muskego too, where they would be more likely to contribute just because of geographic purposes. So
Yeah.
I think it's Holtz family is one of them. It's in that
Probably.
information I gave Pete, so I don't know if you still have access to that or not.
Maybe when I clean
I
my
was going to
office,
say,
I'll
maybe
find
you'll
out.
find it in the bottom of a file somewhere.
I was joking with Gail that it's pretty cruel that the pipe burst in an area that wasn't my office because my office has gotten out of hand and one of my goals is to clean it, and I know that maybe sounds juvenile, but I need to be able to set aside the time to really reorganize it in so many different ways, and if a pipe had burst in my office, I could have just
Shovel it all out.
shoveled it all out and
Start it
started
over.
anew. But
But no go on that. Can't have everything, just the hard work that goes with it. Okay, is everyone satisfied with what they've seen at this moment? Because then we can move down to the next discussion item. Okay, unless somebody says something, I'm going to move down to the discussion on, I think maybe what I should preface is say, it's just nice to see, it was for me, I'm hoping for you, that there is kind of a system in place. I didn't really know anything about that. We would just always ask, about this grant or that grant. But they are looking, and I do definitely agree with you talking, with staff to keep it.
the annual
In mind,
meeting
yeah.
will help. I'm looking forward to
And
it.
if nothing else, because there's deadline dates on these things
Right,
too.
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
okay, all right. It sounds like we can move down to the discussion on outstanding library fines and fees.
I would like to defer this discussion.
Okay.
I ran a bunch of reports. I had some staff run a bunch of reports who are much better at running those reports than I am. And we were putting together pie charts and everything looked beautiful. And then I came into work on Saturday and started poking around a bit and realized some flaws in the reports that we had run. And then we reached out to the system and said, we realized that it didn't capture all of the fine data we were looking for. How can we run this report differently? And we're still working with him on that.
Okay.
So the beautiful report that I ran, which was amazing, is inaccurate. And I don't want to share it with you. So just know that we have a good start on it. We've had several discussions. I've pulled in 2 staff members and 1 system person, the person in charge of the database and statistics. So I'm hoping by next month we will have an accurate report
Yeah.
for doing that. So.
I'm hoping you'll find like the money's only owed by one serial person who doesn't return it, so we only have to work with one person,
It may
right?
be more than one. It may be more than one. But at first blush, and again, I know I still have to rerun, many of the fines are like $1, $2, we
That's the
we
next
don't
thing.
have
How many
people
of
who
them
are
just write
ripping
off?
us off for thousands of dollars. I'll say
Right,
that, so.
right. Okay, any discussion or comments on that, besides my silly one? Okay, all right. Communications and miscellaneous business as authorized by law. Seeing nothing on the agenda, anything anyone has?
The only thing I want to point out is we were open on Saturday, and I just sort of want to pump up, the library staff. I wanted to stay open because there were so many people without power in Muskego and the surrounding areas. We were very needed. It was very busy on Saturday. Many people were coming in, charging their phones, looking for heat. Their wells weren't working, their wells were working, but the electricity wouldn't let them access, what they needed. There were lots of new library cards made as a result, and I think probably the most heartwarming thing that happened is we had a dad, their power was out, dad, mom, and 3 children, and he said, I really had to fight my kids to come here. They didn't want to come to the library, and they played at the game table, they checked out a bunch of books, they all got library cards, they left with a new, with an introduction to the library.
Yeah.
So it was a day that, the roads they were not great, but it was very important to be open, and I was...
Yeah, you don't even think about that, it's just the regular's going to come in for something, and...
I'm glad that they thought of coming.
And a lot of people, me too, had internet down.
I was gonna say too, as an alderman, I had a constituent ask me, can the library be deemed like a warming station? I actually had a constituent ask me about that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they thought of us. We are considered a warming shelter according to Waukesha County. So every year Waukesha County contacts us and says, can we list you on the 211 site for Waukesha County? Now we're not an overnight warming shelter, but yeah, the phone just rang off the hook on Saturday. Do you have Wi-Fi? Do you have power? Do you have, are you open? So it was exciting to say yes and see a lot of new faces that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
So.
Obviously not all of them were patrons, but they know the library's here, which is kind of interesting. They might not frequent it, but they know of its existence. So, okay, that's always good to hear, and I'm glad we could help some people out. Anything else, anyone? Okay, I think we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, and on this cold night, if anybody says no, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good move. Hearing none, meeting is adjourned.
5:36. All right.
That was a fast one.
See you all in February.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.